we just talked of the iso-strain condition, right? So fibers are selected because they have a much higher yield strength than the matrix. When yield strength of the matrix is exceeded, it begins to experience plastic deformation. Fibers remain in elastic stretching. Do you understand? See, you are selecting the fiber because it has higher strength. So when it is loaded, the whole composite is loaded, the fiber is still strong. Whatever loads you are applying are still creating only tensile stresses, right? Are only doing tensile stresses. But the matrix has already gone into the plastic range, so there will be an issue, right? So fibers remain in elastic stretching while the other material is in the other one. Now load is passed to the fibers and the composite does not fail at stresses that would destroy the matrix. So if the bonding is good, the matrix material has already gone into plastic deformation, so it will be bad, or your design, everything will change, right? But the good thing is happening that if the bonding between the two is good, then I was just saying that then the load is passed to the fibers if the bonding is good, and therefore the composite does not fail at stresses that would destroy the matrix only. So this is the whole key. Do you understand that the matrix has a lower strength and now you are pulling it under tension at a much higher load than the yield strength of the matrix, but the fibers are much higher strength. If the bonding between the fiber and the matrix is good, then the whole composite behaves as a single unit. So now the composite does not behave only as the matrix material. The matrix would have failed, right? It has gone into permanent deformation by now. But because of the good bonding between the matrix and the fiber, now the composite has a higher strength. So this is iso-strain. Stress on composite, right? Now this, remember, now this sigma is a stress, not the conductivity and so on, right? So here we are talking of stresses. Must be borne by either the fiber or the matrix, isn't it? The stress on the whole composite should be taken by the fiber or the matrix. So a strength or a stress of the composite is sigma MFM plus sigma FFF total, right? Now a strain on the fiber and the matrix is same, a strain, because it is iso-strain condition. This is a stress. A strain is the same. So now a strain, right? Sigma is equal to E epsilon. So if you divide this side by a strain, then you divide this and this, because a strain is the same. A strain on the composite is the same as a strain on the fiber or a strain on the matrix. Therefore you can divide it throughout. So this thing is the E value of the composite, isn't it? A stress of the composite divided by a strain, this is the E value, the modulus of elasticity, the Young's modulus of the composite. And here sigma M upon this is E of the matrix, sigma F upon this is E, capital E of the fiber. So you have this equation, isn't it? E of composite is E of matrix into fraction of matrix, E of fiber into fraction of fiber. If FF and FM are applied loads on the fiber and matrix, right? If the load applied on the fiber is FF, if the load applied on matrix is FM, then the relative contribution of the fiber and matrix in handling the applied load is given by this. Force on the fiber divided by force on the matrix. Okay? Force on the fiber is roughly the same as E of fiber into FF upon E of M upon FM from here, because this is how it is broken. So this is a very important fraction, that how much of the load, how much of the total load is borne by the fiber compared to the load borne by the matrix, right? So this is roughly the case because we are applying this equation. Now fiber pull out. The previous analysis assumes high quality bonding between fiber and matrix, so it was an iso-strain case. But when the bonding is less strong, then the bonds between the fiber and the matrix can break, result in fiber pull out, right? The fiber is there, it is bonded to the matrix material, but when you apply large load, then the fiber breaks out from the matrix. So now if this happens, this fiber pull out happens, then the whole composite is not a single composite anymore, right? So the load cannot be transferred to the fibers and the matrix behaves as if it were not reinforced at all. You see, why is the composite a good thing? Because there is a very good bonding between the matrix and the fiber. As long as this bonding is very good, then the composite behaves at a higher strength than the strength of the matrix only, right? But if this bond breaks, now fibers are just lying inside. Fibers are just lying inside. They are not joined to the matrix. So they are not increasing the strength of the total composite. So now once the fiber pull out happens, the composite is gone. The composite is like just the weak matrix material. Transverse properties. The properties in the previous sections was along the tensile load, right? Now transverse. When load is applied in transverse direction, essentially there is no reinforcement. We suppose that there are no fibers. Same stresses are experienced by the fiber and the matrix. So it is iso-stress condition. Understand, right? The previous one was iso-strain. This is iso-stress. There is same stress on the fiber. There is same stress on the matrix in the transverse direction. So stress on the composite is the same as stress on the fiber, same as stress on the matrix. So the elastic modulus in this case of the composite is given as EF EM upon the sum. So this is a new equation, right? EF into EM upon the summation of the volume fraction and so on, right? So this is a different equation. Again, as I said, we are not giving, it is a very two-line simple derivation, but we are not giving even the derivation. We are just giving you that the combined modulus in the transverse direction is given by this equation. So let us take an example, right? And again, I will read it with you, but when you start solving, you pause and you read it carefully. You take down all the knowns and the unknowns, right? Take down all the knowns and the unknowns and solve it. And you can go back to the equations. You have only two sets of equations for strength and so on. One in the iso-strain condition, one in the iso-stress condition, one in the longitudinal direction, one in the transverse direction, right? So read the problem carefully, take down the knowns and the unknowns, go back any pages you want, be very sure that you think that this A, B, C, D, E you have solved very carefully, and only then proceed to C, right? So let us see. A cylindrical fiber reinforced composite, right? Cylindrical, right? Like a rod or a thick wire with a cross-sectional area of 100 square millimeter is comprised of 60 volume% of a polymer matrix, 60 volume %, with a density of 1.2 kilogram per meter square and elastic modulus of 3 gigapascal and a tensile strength of 300 megapascal. This is the polymer matrix. 35% E-glass reinforcing fibers, properties found in table 7.2, and 5% net voids. Right? So in terms of the volume fraction, 60% matrix, 35% E-glass fiber, and 5% voids. 20 megapascal of stress is applied to the composite in the longitudinal direction. Right? So longitudinal direction. So you are given the properties of the matrix, the properties of the fiber from the table. You are given the volume fractions of the matrix, the fiber, which is E-glass, and 5% of the voids. And the stress, the load, the force that is applied in the longitudinal direction is 20 megapascal. So we are again, of course, assuming isostrain, that the bonding between the fiber and the matrix is very good, and only then we can solve it. So A, estimate the density of the composite. B, estimate the modulus of elasticity of the composite in the longitudinal direction, right, of the composite, EC. Estimate the modulus of elasticity of the composite in the transverse direction, right? So now it is the transverse. Estimate the fraction of the total load supported by the fiber. Estimate the strain on either the fiber or the matrix. It is isostrain. So find it on the fiber, it will be the same as the matrix. And explain why it is necessary to calculate only one of those. I have already explained that, right? That find on the fiber, find on the matrix, they should give you the same value. But why we should find only one? Because we are already assuming that in the longitudinal direction it is isostrain. So there is the same strain on the composite, same strain on the fiber, same strain on the matrix. So find any one, it is the same, right? So now here, pause my lecture, please, right? Pause it, solve it. Once you are 100% sure, you have rechecked your results, then you go and go ahead to the next page where the solution will be. Before we go ahead, let me re-stress that this one problem in composites, if you really do with a very open mind, it's very simple, not difficult, but everything that we can try to do is there in this problem. So let us see. The density can be estimated from the mixing rule, right? Rho C, rho M Fm plus rho F Ff. Okay, but remember, right, the values are given. What was the density of the matrix material and what was the fraction, right? What was the density of the fiber material and what was the fraction? So the void is gone, right? This is 60%, 35%, 95% total, but you just put it there and you have the value, nothing. Recall that the density of a pore is 0, but that it still accounts for 5% of the total volume, right? So in the density equation, the voids are not there, but 5% of the volume is taken up by the voids, right? So this is a very simple equation, but you see that this simple rule of mixtures, this linear simple rule of mixtures by volume fractions is a powerful thing, and they have actually calculated these things and they have actually verified and so on. So this is not just that it is happening here in calculations, it is verified scientifically.